Hi, this is Jax Grande, and today I'll be reading an excerpt from The Society Saga, Volume 2. This scene is basically the goodbye between Monroe and Ari. She's been training for a while, she's hesitant, but she's finally going to face her enemy, and she's uncertain as to where she stands with her relationship with Monroe. "She's ready," Lucy called from behind me. I saw Doc's eyes narrow as he chewed on a toothpick. He didn't seem happy about it, but he agreed with a slight nod. "All right, make the call," he muttered. Lucy jogged over to Brian's bungalow and went inside. My heart was racing. I was walking back to the car when Monroe grabbed me by the arm. I stopped and turned to face him. "What is it?" I looked up at him with a calm, open expression. His wild curls blew in the wind as he looked down at me. His hand was still holding my arm. His eyes were wide and excited, but his face seemed uneasy. Nervous, maybe? I felt my heart stutter. Was he going to kiss me? No, of course not. I was probably misreading the situation. How I wished I could enter his mind without him noticing. I was much too nervous whenever I was near him. Anyone else was cakewalk. Even with Liam, I had no trouble searching his thoughts. It was Monroe that made me hesitant and coy. "We leave in 20 minutes," Brian called out from his bungalow. Monroe raised his left hand in acknowledgement. "Got it," he called back, without breaking eye contact. It was dark now, the tiny red lines of the sun disappearing into blackness. In a few minutes, there would be nothing but faint starlight. I could still see the gleam from his eyes. He was closer to me now. I had to lean my head back to look at his face clearly. He lowered his hand from my arm and pulled me into a loose hug, holding me far enough to still look at me. "Ari," he breathed. I gulped nervously. I leaned back in his interlocked arms, slowly placing one hand on his chest. I could feel his heart beating steadily through his t-shirt. The realization that he was leaving slowly hit me. I started to panic. We had only been separated for a few hours since leaving the compound. He sensed my worry and pulled me closer to him. "It's going to be okay, Ari. I promise. Doc will take good care of you." My tears spilled over at the thought of what might happen to Monroe if something went wrong. How could I forgive myself for putting him in danger like this? I choked back the sobs. Hey, none of that." He grabbed my face with one hand and wiped the tears with the other. "I'm gonna be fine. It'll be nice to be in your dad's good graces for once." He winked at me. "Imagine that, coming to Mr. Keller's rescue." I rolled my eyes at him. I could imagine my dad's reaction after realizing that Monroe was his rescuer. He kissed my forehead and turned to leave. I almost tripped as I staggered after him. "Wait!" I croaked. I felt an urgency deep in my core. What if this was the last time I was able to see him? To hold him close? He stopped and turned when I called. I ran up and threw my arms around him. I buried my face in his chest, and in the absolute softest whisper I could muster, I breathed the words, "I love you." I felt him stiffen at the words. He couldn't have heard them. He had totally heard them. I let my arms drop to my sides and kept my face down. He stood there, unsure of how to respond. "Monroe! Now!" Brian called impatiently. He was eager to get on the road. They had a long drive ahead of them. Monroe's arms twitched as he tried to decide what to do. "Just go," I told him. I smoothed my face and put on a brave smile. "Go!" Before Brian implodes. He gave me a pained smile before turning around and sprinting to the truck. Brian was already at the edge of the lot with the engine running. I watched them drive off, silent tears sliding down my face.